YouTube, what the crap's going on? HeirofCarthage here, back in Total War Rome 2, gonna bring you some online action, this time myself playing. I'm under the guise of Pillar of Autumn, and I'm playing against this Johann Gottlieb. I've actually played against him before. I don't remember his name last time, it started with a T, and it fails me now, but it was a Tylus versus Tylus versus Suebi match. And he played very well with the Suebi. Tylus is a pretty tanky faction, and I was able to pull out a victory on it, but apparently this guy likes Suebi, and I came back and I picked Sparta just because I wanted to give myself a really tough challenge. And once he told me who he was, I was like, oh man, I'm probably in for a beat down here, but let's give it a shot. This was a quick battle, so it put us on the map, which is Seleucia, which is not really a great map. I mean, I could hill camp there, and it'd probably help me out a lot. But you all know me. Unless it's the AI, I'm really not into hill camping, even if it's going to put me at a disadvantage going out into open ground. We're going to do it. I like how all the Spartans lost their shoes once the Wrath of Sparta pack came out. Anyway, I got 4 Perioikoi pikemen in the center, Gorgos skirmishers. I've got 7 Spartan hoplites, 2 heroes of Sparta, 3 Perioikoi spears. It's a pretty straightforward army. My opponent is sporting 4 Germanic scout riders. I want to say he has 5 swordmasters. I could be wrong though. I know there's 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 5 swordmasters. So pretty much right from the start here, I'm screwed. There's no way that I can hope to beat down 5 swordmasters unless they just sat there and let my Gorgos skirmishers shoot them for a long time. And honestly, you know, when I look back at this battle, like, part of me wishes I would have just ditched the pikes and the skirmishers, and even though it's absolutely stupid, I think that I could probably have gotten more kills just going full-on Spartan rush, because I could have maybe meat shielded with some Perioikoi and then tried to use some Royal Spartans to see if I could rack up some kills, but it's still going to be very difficult. The Swordmasters are going to put up a nice fight, even prolonged, against Spartans. Now, the rest of Suebi units are pretty squishy. They will do very good on the charge, but they'll die in prolonged combat. They won't be that good. Now, he's brought more skirmishers than I expected, too. Here in the center, he's got 3 Germanic slingers. These guys can soak up a pretty big-time beating. He's got a Cimbri bowwomen on each flank, and since I've gone no cav, he can now move these skirmishers on the flank at will, because I have no way to make a speedy strike on him. And that's precisely what he's going to do. So let's go ahead and fast forward and just kind of watch how this plays out. I'm trying to keep my Gorgos skirmishers near this little patch of forest, but he's also got a small patch of forest to help. And his Germanic slingers on open ground are going to be a big problem for my guys. But he does start to split up here, and this is a potential opportunity for me to try and get rid of a couple of these Germanic slingers. They can damage my pikemen. Eventually they would kill them. Spartan pikemen and Perioikoi pikemen both have high armor, which helps them immensely when it comes to fending off stuff like low-tier slingers. He has another longbow hunter back here too, so lots of skirmishers. Sparta can bring a pretty nasty skirmish corps, but yeah, and I can see why he brings a lot of skirmishers. Scout riders are versatile, but not very strong, so bringing a lot of skirmishers is his way of kind of hedging his bets, just in case I had brought a bunch of Rhodians or something. And so my Gorgos skirmishers are going to team up. I'm trying to keep them kind of in the forest, and I'm going to focus fire with rapid reload, or whatever it is, quick reload. I'm going to focus fire on 1 Germanic slinger. You can see these guys are partially in the forest here, and they're spread out, and they just block almost everything that comes in. They are not particularly strong, it's just their missile block chance is absolutely excellent. So my pikes are absorbing some fire. The longbow hunters are actually going to do pretty good versus the pikes because they have decent AP. And I'm just kind of keeping his scout riders at bay with a few interspars spear units. I have no answer to these swordmasters on the flank. My plan is to just see if I can interrupt this charge, basically sacrifice the front line, move in the second line into hoplite phalanx, and then support with more heroes of Sparta. There's all kinds of things that could go wrong. So I don't expect that to be an easy fight on that flank, and if I can get the chance, my Gorgos can try and pick at his elite infantry, but this is going to be a very uphill battle. This is Sparta, uphill battles. That's pretty much it. In fact, your best bet as Sparta is to have a giant pike box on top of a hill filled with skirmishers. That's about your only chance to have any realistic victory. Now back here he does make a little bit of a mistake, brings his scout riders a bit close to my Perioikoi spears. I get a javelin toss, only bring down 2 of them, but do a little bit of damage there, so that was kind of nice for me. I do beat up one of his Germanic slingers, but it doesn't rout. It's got pretty crappy morale, but I mean, since I would have to beat it to an oblivion, which is difficult, it's going to do well. Now my Gorgos, he's not even paying attention to them, he's just firing at my pikes. And why would he pay attention to my Gorgos? They'll have to spend almost all their ammo. This is what Germanic slingers are good for. They're not really good at killing much, but they are good at basically absorbing your fire and trading with your skirmishers. Now he's going to get cheeky with the spear levy, move up, throw some javelins into this blob of Gorgos. That's a good idea. Again, over here on the flank, he's going to attack. I go ahead and go into Hoplite Phalanx here. This is just to try and, like, tighten up my formation to make his charge not be able to get to quite as many of my men. Because, like, right here, where I just do a wide open charge versus this guy, my Hoplites are just going to get pizzoned. Over here, though, with the expert charge defense, I'll die slightly slower, but I'll die nonetheless. And this gives my guys a chance to start reinforcing. And that's precisely what I'm up to now. He gets kind of a flank charge with this Swordmaster, which was a good charge for him. Bringing in the Heroes of Sparta in a wide formation. I'd like to kind of wrap around the edges and then go into a Hoplite Phalanx. That's what I'm going to attempt to do, but if you don't click an attack order rather quickly, after doing the Hoplite Phalanx, look, this is exactly what happened. I think my guys may have accidentally still been in formation attack. Even if they're not, look, they kind of bunched up into this group. This is bad. I should have pulled them out and tried again. So my general's going to die now, is the long and short of that. And up front, it doesn't matter that he's not doing anything because he's just going to destroy my flanks. Part of me probably should have just taken these infantry and gone ahead and started shifting this direction too, because over here eventually I'm going to lose. Now, I was kind of hoping that my slingers would be able to pick at the flanks, but my formation doesn't really quite allow it. His formation kind of cinched up a little too, which means that firing here is just going to hurt my Spartans too. It's not going to do a whole lot of good. Heroes of Sparta over here, I forgot to get them into a Hoplite Phalanx, so this is utter foolishness here. They did get some kills on the charge versus the Swordmasters, but they're going to get beat down in prolonged melee combat. And then my general over here is doing almost nothing. He's in the Phalanx wall, but I mean, he's just not getting any kills. And it's just not a good situation for me. So as you can see, I mean, I'm just kind of being wrapped up, and I'm going to end up taking a pretty severe beat down here. Look at these Germanic scout riders. 12 men, and they charge in like confident, like, nah, we're not scared of Sparta. I mean, who is? Apparently no one. Either that or they were really anxious to get in here and ask these Gorgos skirmishers on a date. And the Gorgos skirmishers, sporting their, very colorful dresses there, looking quite nice. Anyway, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and start trying to fire some at these what do you call them, Swordmasters, but their flank really isn't exposed well to my Gorgos skirmisher. I'll get a couple of back shots here, but I'm going to be hitting my own Spartans in the back just as much. You can see over here my Heroes of Sparta are starting to drop, not getting a particularly large amount of kills, doing okay at holding the Swordmasters, but now they're going to get hit by this Bloodsworn and absolutely wrecked. And then over here, my Spartan Hoplites doing an admirable job, but utterly doomed, trying to hold off against these Swordmasters. Now, if Sparta were to ever get revisited in some type of balancing patch, they need to give the elite spear to all Spartan Hoplites, not the Perioikoi, but Spartan Hoplites should get the elite spear. Heroes of Sparta should have the elite spear. I think Royal Spartans have the elite spear, so all of them should get the elite spear in my opinion. That would make Sparta considerably stronger, and I think make them a much more viable faction. Just those few changes would be quite nice. But yeah, I mean, the Suebi are just going to rain all over my parade here. It's not going to be good. The Bloodsworn, look how many kills this Bloodsworn has. Doing a good job. And basically what he did with my pikes was just kind of wheeled up and unloaded his precursors into me until they were gone. So my pikemen, of course, I didn't expect them to really do anything other than slow the enemy down, and that's about all they did. I'm going to be firing some shots at these Swordmasters. He charges his Cimbri bowwomen into my Gorgos skirmisher, so here we have quite the ancient cat fight going on. I'm sure that someone's going to leave me a hate comment because of that. Call me, like, sexist or something. I think we live in a world that's too easily offended. It's called stereotyping. It's fun. I stereotype myself, too. People take too much offense nowadays, so yes. Anyway, the Cimbri bowwomen are going to have the edge here in melee combat because they've got that two-handed spear. So my Gorgos are going to get beat down by the angry Germanic women, and they're going to do quite well there. And I am picking away quite nicely at the Swordmaster, but it's still not going to rout. And here comes the Germanic Scout Rider. Look at these guys, so ungentlemanly. Beating up a bunch of women. Come on, savages. Anyway, I've got some hoplites to try and stop this Swordmaster, but I bet they won't even win that fight. Yeah, my general ends up getting beat down. He gets almost no kills here, just like an absolutely pathetic performance. And it's just because of the odd formation. None of my guys are ever in contact with the Swordmaster, except just a couple of guys on the flank, so they just end up doing absolutely awful. So this is one of the dangers of trying to use Hoplite Phalanx effectively, is that if it bugs out, you're screwed, and there's very little you can do about it. So sometimes you can get a Hoplite unit to perform above its weight class, but most likely not. These Spartan Hoplites, I do get into the Swordmaster General, and I'm going to get the Phalanx without them getting all condensed into an idiot. Well, they're still trying to kind of form up idiotically, but I mean, they do a lot better. But again, it's just a Spartan Hoplite going on to a Swordmaster, and the rest of the army is losing. So although I'll get a few kills on these Swordmasters, I'm going to lose. He's got Germanic Slingers firing into the flank. My general gets wrapped up, and that's pretty much all she wrote. With this type of army loss, the Spartans won't fight forever. They do have pretty good morale. 65 is pretty darn good morale. Anyway, so that one's going to be a decisive victory for the Suebi. Now, my opponent here did want a rematch, though I will show you that tomorrow. That way you have something fun to watch then. So I do get to play him a rematch. He does want to play Suebi. I am going to bring Rome, because I don't bring them very often, and that'll give him a tougher challenge, because Suebi versus Rome is going to be a little bit tougher nugget to tackle there. So I hope y'all enjoyed this one. Took a beat down tonight. Congratulations, my opponent there. Well played. He does very well with Suebi, so I very much think you're going to enjoy coming back and watching the battle tomorrow. He employs an interesting strategy and an interesting army, and we'll see how I deal with it. HeirofCarthage, signing off for now.